Hello everyone and welcome back to another vlog, but this, if you can tell by the title, is not really going to be a vlog video today. Today's video is going to be kind of answering a topic that I've had a lot of questions on basically since I lived in Japan. So what a lot of people always wanted to know is how you move countries, how you go overseas, how do you prepare for that kind of stuff, and how do you deal with the kind of stresses of moving overseas. And honestly, I don't have the answer to all of that because really half the time for me, or like majority of the time, I have no idea what I personally am doing. And I feel a lot of other people are like that too, because moving countries is really hard and there's a lot to consider and there's a lot of stuff that can happen after you move countries that you can't really predict or control. So today I want to kind of give you guys my checklist that I have always done, the things I've always done before I've moved countries to kind of get myself ready and also be able to do it. Because let's face it, you guys, moving countries isn't easy, especially when it's your first time. And since I have officially moved countries 3 times in my life, I think I kind of have it down. Kind of. So a little background story to anyone that's new to this channel just because of this video. I have officially now moved to 3 countries like I said before. The first country I ever moved to was South Korea, and I moved to South Korea to be with my boyfriend and life partner. He decided to move there to teach English, and I also wanted to move there as well to be with him and maintain our relationship so we didn't have to do long distance. And I'll be honest, you guys, the first time I moved countries was really, really hard. Figuring all out was extremely stressful. There was so many nights I was just crying because it was so much stress and I had no idea what to do or if anything would work out and be successful. The second time I moved countries was to Japan. So after living in South Korea for 2 years, I moved back home to Canada for 6 months. And while I was in Canada, I realized there was no life for me there anymore. And I kind of wanted something greater in my life. And I realized after I've lived overseas for 2 years that it's not as hard as I always thought it was. So I made the move to Japan by myself to be with friends and stuff. And my partner went to Australia instead. So we did 1 year apart via long distance relationship, me in Japan and him in Australia. Then fast forward 1 year to now, I am now currently in Australia. And as you probably guessed it, yes, I moved here to be with my boyfriend once again. So we are living together overseas for who knows how long. So that's a little bit of background story on me, and you've caught me on my 3rd time being overseas and living in a different country. So now let's hop into my checklist. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, or make sure you start to do when you're planning on moving countries, is save money. And this should be a no-brainer for all of you. Moving countries is not cheap, especially if you plan to bring your items with you. The first time I ever moved countries, I just brought all my life that I could fit into 2 suitcases. And it was easy the first time, but over the years it's become harder and harder because I'm becoming more of an adult and I've collected more things over my life, and there's more things I need to keep with me so I can do my hobbies, live the lifestyle that I want to live. So definitely save money because it can be expensive. Not only is the flight ticket, depending on the country you're moving to, going to be expensive, but you also have to pay for the costs of visas or applying for visas, the travel costs, luggage costs. If you're going to ship anything from your country to the country of your destination, that also costs money. And then also you need a bit of backup money for your life when you first get there, because you might have a job or you might not have a job. And if you don't have a job, you're going to need money to cover your expenses for the first few months while you hunt for a job. So it's good to just think of all these possible things that can happen that you'll need money for. So for example, a flight out of the country that you moved to, because you have to think that maybe everything won't go the way you planned. So you need some escape money to get out of that country. The second thing I want to stress, and very, very, very much so stress, is checking with your embassy online. So a lot of you guys are always asking, what kind of visa do you have? How did you move countries? How did you get in there? And that's all answered for you on your embassy's website. So what country do you want to move to? Now search for that embassy in your province or state that you live in. And then they will have a website where they have all the information on the types of visas you can apply for that country that you want to move to. And that's exactly what I did. So when I decided I wanted to move to Korea to be with my partner, I searched up Korean Embassy of Toronto, Ontario, and then that embassy website had all the information I needed. It had the visa applications for all types of visas, it had the requirements, the checklist that you need to do, and then for any information they didn't have, that's when I went into the embassy or would call the embassy or email them for any questions I had to kind of help things move along a little bit faster. So definitely check for the embassy of the country that you want to live in for your country. So Google, that's where Google comes in, you guys. We live in the 21st century. You have a Google, it's like the answer to everything you need. Seriously, it's all on there. So start Googling for an embassy of the country that you want to live in, and all your answers for the things you need and the visas you can get will be there. And that brings me on to visa research. So as some of you may know and some of you may not know, I'm Canadian. So things are a little bit easier for me, unfortunately, for others out there who are not Canadian. So this makes it easier for me to get visas for almost any country. So the visa that I have been hopping around on has always been a working holiday visa, and not every country can get this visa, so I'm a bit more fortunate. And unfortunately, I cannot give too much information on this because it's not my place. I'm not a country representative. I don't work in an embassy, so I can't really go into much detail on that just because I don't want to give any wrong information. But that's the visa that I have always been on, and it allows you to holiday in a country for up to 1 year. And some countries that you live in will allow a 1 year extension after that, and some may not. So that's something you need to consider, and once again, look at your embassy because you'll be able to find all the visas that your country allows you to have for the country you choose to live in. So if you're Canadian like me, then that means you probably have access to working holiday visas, which are great for anyone under 30 years of age. So if you're still under 30 years of age and you've always wanted to live in a country and not really have to worry about, having a set job or working for a company, then a working holiday visa is something that you can get as a Canadian. I'm not too sure about other countries, so please do your visa research for the embassy of the country you want to live in, you guys. I can't stress this enough. It's the most important thing of this checklist. You need to embassy and visa research. So important. And of course, saving money. So if you've done all those 3 things I've listed, then you're more or less ready to go. You have your money, you know what visa you want to get, you've done your application process, or you have the application ready to go, you have a valid passport, then all that's left is preparing yourself mentally and also discussing this with your family and loved ones. And this is where it gets really difficult, and I certainly am bad at this. I have always waited till the last minute to discuss with my dad that I'm going to be moving countries just because I hate disappointing people. I mean, of course my family will be happy and your family will be happy for you, but there's also that sadness that comes with goodbyes. And it's not always a goodbye forever, but for some of you it might be. But it's hard to discuss these things with your family. I know I fail at it every time, but it's definitely really important that you do talk to them about it, even though I'm one to talk. I really need to work harder on this. But it's definitely really important to do that because, not only are you making a big life decision, but you're also going to be leaving the life of others around you, and that can be hard for some people, or maybe they want to know why you're going to leave them and stuff like that. Also, if you have a relationship you're in, it's really important to discuss this with your partner, as they may want to go with you as well, or you may want them to try to come with you also. That's one thing I wish me and my boyfriend kind of worked out a little bit better on the first time we moved countries, because I felt like he didn't want me to move with him, but he did, and there was just miscommunication. So based on my experience of heartbreak and stress and trying to read each other's minds, definitely talk to your partner and discuss your options as a couple and what you can do together, because you definitely can make it work out. It's not that hard. So discussing it is very, very important. And it will also help relieve some stress for you. You'll be able to talk about it out loud and get the thoughts off your chest instead of keeping it all in your mind alone. Okay, so you've discussed it, you've agreed to do this, everyone in your family supports you, and your loved one supports you or will come with you. So now what do you have to do? So if you're living alone and you have to leave your apartment or your home life and start anew, then you want to sell your furniture and your belongings, or as much as you can, or you want to store them in a storage room, or give them to your family's house. If you have pets, find someone who can take care of your pet for you. For me, my boyfriend's mom decided to take our cat for us and take care of it while we were away, and that's really important. So I recommend selling your things on buy and sell pages. You can find these in like almost any city, and they are in Facebook groups. So go into the groups section and search for buy and sell pages, and there is where it's kind of like a trunk sale or a garage sale, but online. So you can sell things to local people who are looking for things really, really cheap and really affordable, and they'll just come pick it up. So definitely check out buy and sell groups online on Facebook and places like that, where you can sell your things quickly and for a good price. This will kind of help you get ready to pick up your life and move. But if you live with your family, or you have family or a storage unit, you can just dump all your stuff on them or try to sell a little bit of it. Whatever floats your boat. Then, of course, next comes packing up your life. And depending on how far your flight is, you're either allowed 1 or 2 full-size luggages of like 30 kilograms or something like that. Which is a lot, but it can be hard for a woman if you are like me and you have a lot of makeup and cosmetics and camera gear and laptops for editing and working. This can be where the weight kind of comes into play. So get the best luggage you can that's not going to add too much weight to your weight, and make sure it's high quality, because it's gonna count, trust me. Or this is where if you really need to bring some stuff with you, you go to your post office and check the rates for shipping things overseas. And usually you'll have 3 different options. You'll have land, air, or express. And of course the rates depend on that. But if time is not of the essence and you already have a home in the country you're going to, then you can ship by sea. But if you don't have a home yet or anything, then I wouldn't ship anything yet. I'd get your family to do that for you later, just because you're not too sure if you're going to have a home, or if you're going to stay for the full year, or if you're going to stay long term. Then yeah, if that makes sense. So before you actually move countries, try finding places you can live in. If you don't already have someone you're moving to with that country, or someone you already are going to live with, like a friend or a roommate, then try finding those, because it will make your life a lot easier. So if you're in a community online already, or you have a group of friends online through Instagram and stuff, ask them if they need roommates or if they're looking for roommates. That's what I did, which is why I ended up living with Kim Dow. We decided to roommate together, which made our life a lot easier, and she helped me out a lot on getting to Japan. Also with Korea, my boyfriend was living there and the housing was provided by his work, so I just kind of joined him in on that, so it was a lot easier for me. But when we were moving to Australia, we had to find an apartment, and fortunately, my boyfriend found this apartment for us and we searched online. But if you don't have someone already in the country that you're moving to help you out, then renting and finding an apartment before you're actually in the country is very impossible to do. It's very hard, and a lot of people and realtors won't accept applications until you're in the country. So for this, I recommend staying at a friend's house in that country. If you don't have any friends yet, book out a hostel. And if you have a little money to spare and a big budget, then definitely go with an Airbnb as a place you can kind of call your home until you find an apartment or a roommate or a place to stay or friends to stay with. And if when you moved to the country you moved for a job, then you're in luck. You don't have to worry about job hunting. But if you move to the country jobless and on a budget of money you saved up, then your next priority after all of that stuff is finding a job, especially before you rent an apartment. You should definitely find a job or a way of earning an income. And if you're on a working holiday visa, then you literally can just go out and apply for jobs like a normal citizen. You can just go with your resume, whatever. And it's really not that hard, especially if you're in an English-speaking country. However, if you're in a non-English-speaking country, this is where things become a lot more difficult to find jobs. And usually they're pretty limited to only English teaching or like volunteer work. So definitely use Google as your best friend for job hunting for your country, or if you're already in the country, it's a lot easier and you can just kind of hunt around and network. On Facebook groups, there's a lot of Facebook groups that help for that. I remember in South Korea, there was a Facebook group for like Seoul entertainers, foreign entertainers, where you could find gigs on like your entertainer visa or working holiday visa that would just pay cash to you for entertaining or modeling or acting and stuff, just because, you know, they needed foreigners. So finding job is the hardest part, and it's not really something I can give many tips on just because I'm not an employer and I don't work for like an employment agency. So it's not really something I can help too much on, but if you are in an English-speaking country, then you can just go around with a resume. And yeah, job hunting's hard all over the world, you guys. What can I say? Even in Canada, I have hard times finding jobs. We've all been there, so that's the hard part, and I can't really help you there. But otherwise, you guys, that is my checklist for moving countries. That is everything I have done to prepare myself for moving country, to begin the process of moving country, and then once I'm in a country, the things that I do to complete that checklist of moving overseas. And I know it's really hard, and this may be a lot of information for you guys all at once, but this is everything I have ever done to successfully move to another country, and there's a lot of other work you need to do depending on the country. So definitely make sure you always read your paperwork and you know the rules and regulations of your visa and what you need to do throughout the year to maintain that visa that you choose to get, because there's a lot of stuff and it's a lot to consider, and moving countries isn't easy, you guys. There's a lot of saving, a lot of hard work, a lot of research, and a lot of paperwork involved, but it definitely is worth it, and I'm so happy I made these life decisions because they've really shaped who I am. I feel like a cultured, experienced woman. But it's definitely the best decision I have ever made in my entire life, and I want other people to be able to do it and not be afraid, because it's not as hard as you would think. So I hope this video was helpful to anyone who has been wondering how I've done this for 4 years now. And to anyone new to my channel, thank you for watching. I hope this helped you. And remember to thumbs up this video if it did. Comment down below if you have any of your own personal tips for moving countries, if you've ever done it, or if you have any questions, I'll be happy to do my best to answer them for you. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more of my life as I travel overseas and live overseas on my daily-ish, almost daily vlog channel here. And I will see you guys next time.